Hi, this is Nancy Yearold, and welcome to High Road to Humanity. And I have a shaman here today. I have Todd Wilcox. And Todd, welcome to High Road to Humanity.
Thank you, Nancy. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm glad you're here. I haven't had a shaman on. I don't think I have, and I've been doing this for a while. So I'm really interested to talk to you about energy. But you guys, let me read his bio. Todd has had a lifelong fascination with alternative healing, consciousness, expansion, and human potential. His first book, Slipstream Shaman, which we're going to talk about today, uses quantum healing for individuals, communities, as well as the planet and beyond. It's been just published last year, I believe, 2022. And he also loves talking about the paranormal. And he hosts a radio program called My Side of the Universe. So we're going to ask him about that. But I guess the first thing I want to know is tell us your story. I mean, you were looking for your life's purpose, from what I can understand.
Yeah, and I'd been looking for my purpose for a long time, and you go through life, you're kind of confused. You want to be someplace, you want to do something, you never quite figure out what it is.
Yeah.
And I was that way for a long time. I worked hard. I was always had a job. I always worked hard. I always excelled at any job I had, but I never felt rewarded. Never felt the pleasure that I thought I would have. And so I was searching for my purpose, thinking that would just align everything. Once I knew my purpose, the stars would blink brighter, the angels would start to sing, the whole bit, right?
Yeah.
I'd have a clear shot to success, whether it was to be a CEO of a company or to have my own company or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
And so I was always looking for my purpose. And on my radio show, um, that popped up a lot. People were always looking for their purpose,
Mhm.
talking about finding their purpose. In
Mhm.
my personal life, people were always talking about finding their purpose. And I talked to very few people that felt like they found their purpose.
Mhm.
And that was one of the reasons I brought it up in the book, is that um, I think we're better off when we know.
Yes.
What we don't understand though is that even when we don't know it, we're working on it.
Yeah.
And I spent years wondering what my purpose was. I found it through meditation, through this process that I use, the Slipstream Shaman method. And once I found it, it was just two simple words: to help.
Yeah.
And like I say in the book, just because it's simple doesn't mean it's easy. And what I realized that throughout my life, I was always trying to help. I was the big brother helping the little brother and sister. I was the person trying to help the mentee. I was always, to help was always part of my life. In the paranormal world, I got into that to help people that were having problems.
Yeah.
Uh, so it was always to help. I just didn't realize it. I just didn't understand exactly what it was that I was meant to do. And once I found that, I was able to get much more clear. But it doesn't mean it's easy. I have to work at it all the time. I'm always looking to develop. There's always roadblocks. You think you've got things figured out, and then the universe lets you know that you don't. And
That's
so
true. That's absolutely true.
yeah,
Well,
so
and
just because it's easy isn't, I mean, just because it seems simple doesn't mean it's easy, is that long story.
no, that's true. That's true. And you help people and animals. I love that you work with animals. I'm a real animal lover. I like animals a lot more than I do people. I hate to say that.
My my bucket list for the radio show, God, I even hate to say this, we did over 200 episodes and it was just canceled. So
Oh
it's no longer a
no.
thing. But yeah, it was wonderful. We had 6 years of the best time of my life. I loved doing it.
Oh my
Um,
God.
so we'll figure out something different, do a podcast, same type of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's no longer there. One of the bucket list items, I had several, and one of them was talk to William Shatner. I'm still working on that, but I wanted to find out if pets were going to be with us when we passed.
Yes.
I knew for sure that people would be there, but I didn't know about pets, and I wasn't convinced. So 10 of my first 50 episodes were talking to pet psychics, people that did pet healing. I
Yeah.
really wanted to make sure that all these pets that I had that I loved, and my friends' pets, and all these people's pets would be there when we got there. And I'm 100% convinced
Yeah, I am
that
too. I gotta tell you really quick. So I had the psychic lawyer, Mark Anthony, on the show
Oh,
several times. Yeah.
me too. Great
Okay,
guy.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he did a reading for me because he had been on so many times. And he's the only person that's ever done that where, he got in contact. And it was so crazy because he said, Nancy, your cat is stepping forward. And I said, yeah. And it was, it was great to hear from my dad. It was great to hear from my sister. But the shocker was that my cat stepped forward because I loved her so much.
Yeah,
And that, like you, it was like, wow. That was like the biggest surprise and the
for sure.
biggest, I don't know, just warm moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Things become obvious. Once I knew my purpose, all those things I'd done in the past made sense, right?
Yeah.
Once I knew for sure that animals were going to be there,
Yeah.
all I really had to do was look in their eyes. You can see their soul. You look in a cat's eyes, a dog's eyes, a bird's eye, a horse's eye, they have a soul. And so I should have been okay. I should have known. But once you can connect the dots and everything's fine. But
Yeah.
yeah, that was a big thing for me. And I love helping animals. And I need to follow up with somebody that asked me about help for a dog, and that reminded me. So thank you. I need to check on that.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm just a big animal lover and I have a cat and she's like my best friend. She's my companion. And it sounds weird, but she is. And she can be a real pain, but I guess so can I. So it works out. Listen,
You
I
deserve
want to,
each other.
yeah, there you go. I want to talk about your quantum healing process. You talk about your quantum room that you take people in. And I just have to say, first of all, before we even get into this, I think it's really cool that you don't charge.
Yes. It just feels wrong for me.
Yeah.
I was given this gift. I kind of fell into it and developed it, and I know that it wasn't. I didn't pay somebody to teach me this, and so it feels weird and wrong and actually terrifying. I'm worried that I won't be able to do it if I charge people.
No, you will.
So yeah, and a lot of people said, no, you'll be fine, just do it, and I just can't.
Yeah.
And as a result, when I've been on different shows, I've said, yeah, send me an email, I will do a healing for you at no charge. Um, the start of this year, I had thousands of requests the first 2 weeks
Oh my God.
of January. I still haven't caught up with them. I can only do so many a day.
Oh yeah.
And so anybody that heard me the first of the year and you sent me a request, I haven't forgotten, I haven't ignored, but
Yeah.
I am so far behind, it's crazy. So while I don't make the offer, I will promise if somebody needs something, send me an email. I will get to it eventually, but I might be a year away,
Wow.
just so that everybody knows.
Well, and yeah, I want to address this a little bit because, I'm a psychic, I'm an empath, and I work with the angelic realm. And, I do charge, but I don't charge an astronomical
Yeah.
amount because I don't feel like you should. I'm going to take you back a little bit. I had a reading with Sylvia Brown,
Okay.
and this was, gosh, oh my gosh, 20 years ago. And at the time, she was charging at that time, I think she charged me like $450, $500. It was a lot of money for me
Yeah.
to do it, but I did it. But then I feel like she lost her, like you say, her thing.
Yeah.
Cause I feel like there's a happy medium, like anything else. You can charge, like there's a give and a take in the universe. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But
Yeah.
you don't want to go to where you're like charging people so much money. Like I've had people say to me, well, I'll charge you $1,500 a month and I'll get you all set. And I'm like, are you serious right now? That's a house payment. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? I'm like, come on. But I love that you don't. And I think it's wonderful. And God bless for that, you know?
Well, thank you. And I don't hold anything against anybody that charges. I don't think there's anything wrong
Yeah,
with
right.
charging. I
Yeah.
work with two people. We're part of a mastermind group to develop ourselves and consciousness and that for everybody. But they both
Hmm.
charge for that, and I don't hold anything like that against
No,
anybody. I
right.
think it's great, and some people I think need to pay attention to the what's being offered to them.
That might be true. That might be true.
So, but yeah,
Yeah.
I have just so you and I are good. I have no qualms with somebody charging.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
yeah.
thanks. Yeah. Well, and your book is called a Slipstream Shaman using quantum healing for individuals, communities, planets, and beyond. And, what is Slipstream? What do you mean by that? Explain that to the audience.
Yeah, great question. So all of us have been on the freeway. We're traveling down the road at 65 and a semi passes us and
Right.
pushes us off to the side. And then as it gets by, it sucks us back over. That's part of its slipstream. And if you will move behind it at that point, you'll be able to go the same speed that they're going and use less gas than you were at 65. Say they pass you at 70 or 75, you can get into that slipstream of theirs where there's less resistance, everything moves faster and easier and more efficiently. And
Okay.
that's what I'm talking about with the slipstream.
Okay.
It's just I always look for faster ways of doing things. A mentor of mine when I was learning neuro linguistic programming said if you can do a process in 7 steps, you better spend, a lot of time looking for a way to do it in 5, because there's always faster ways to do things. And in the shaman world, most things take a lot of time. You have to spend a day fasting, or you're going 3 days without sleep and things like that to make these progresses. And I don't think people have that kind of time or patience anymore. And honestly, I don't have the patience to do something like that.
Right.
One time I was talking to a guy on the radio, and I said, so what do we need to do to really make contact with Bigfoot? And he says, first of all, you have to have patience.
Yeah.
I said, well, that's fine, but how do I do it fast? Um, so, and that's just
You're
kind of,
like me. I'm working on God's teaching me patience right now. I like that you talk about God in your book because you're just a conduit, and so am I for the energy that we run through ourselves. And I like how you talk about you did study with a shaman. I read part of this in your book. It was really great. And then at one point, and no judgment against her, she wanted everybody to be kind of like she was. And you're like, no, people are all different. People's energy appears different. And we're like snowflakes. We're all different. And I love that analogy because you learned what you could, and then you went out on your own and you did your own thing and you developed it. I wonder if you just talk about that because, we're all so different.
yeah. And that's one of the things I talk about in the book is that if I'm telling you something in that book and it's not resonating with you, adjust it until it does. Don't think you have to do everything exactly the way I do. In fact, that's the fun of this. My goal is to build a community where we're all sharing and changing things as we go, and finding, that better way to do things. And so when something doesn't ring true, don't be afraid to change it. Don't be afraid to call your mentor or your teacher on it. So when I work with people, and in fact, my energy has changed. When I first learned my energy, it was a light blue color,
Yeah.
and it looked like a ball. And then it evolved into this. It looks kind of like a sparkler would be the best description now. It just lots of different colors flying out.
Yeah.
But everyone's is different. I've heard everything from black lines to, one young lady has just like multiple colors shooting out in streams in all directions, and so many fascinating colors. A friend of mine that I work with, she has a very, rich golden color that moves like honey, and
Yeah.
when she helps people, she just covers them in this slow moving honey energy to do it. So yeah, everybody's is different.
Everybody's
Everybody's
different.
quantum room is different, and everybody's different. Yes.
Yes, I really like that. Now, you also talk about something, I heal with my hands because I have the energy that runs through my hands, and that's how I can shoot it through Zoom and people can feel the energy and I can heal that way. And I like how you talk about the chakras in your hands because I guess I never really got into it that much. I just knew that I had the ability to do it. Talk about that because we all
Sure.
have these chakras in our hands.
Yeah, and that's how I found when I found my energy. And I usually do this down by my stomach, but you can do it anywhere. And I was just moving my hands like this, and what I found was that as I got closer and closer, my hands closer and closer together, I would feel cooler energy in my hands, and I could also feel the energy more. I could feel it condense.
Yeah.
And so that was when I first started learning that I can manipulate this energy and do what I need to do. So I started off doing that, finding my energy, and then I covered myself in it. So I was protected when I would go on ghost hunts or when I was sleeping in a place that felt uncomfortable or
Right.
just in a place that was uncomfortable. I'd do that. I also, when I'm doing long drives, I will put my energy together and shoot it down the road. And so it's following the path I'm going to take, making a good, clear drive for me. And I
Now,
use that all the time.
yeah, I don't mean to interrupt you, but do you, in the book you talk, and I hope you don't mind that I ask this, you teach people, okay, and I want you to teach the audience if you don't mind, because you have to get his book, okay? But I will say that I thought it was really cool because I've done this before, but will you go through the process where you put your hands together and you can feel the energy? See, now when I do it, mine is usually hot.
Yes, and that's great. And the girl I told you about with the golden energy,
Yeah,
hers is too.
yeah,
And it's all different temperatures. Everybody
yeah.
has just like the colors, it's all different. And mine is very cool.
Isn't
And
that
sometimes
funny?
when I'm working with people, they'll feel that cool energy.
Yeah.
So yeah, and there's no right or wrong. And that shaman was also saying it was going to be warm and a different color
And
and
yours wasn't.
and mine wasn't. So I got to a point where I couldn't be involved. So I checked out. I
Oh,
didn't interrupt,
yeah.
but I just stepped away. And then when I got alone, started working with it. And once I found the energy, I found that I could focus. And I am sure that if I was born in 2010, I would have been diagnosed with ADHD without question. But
Mm.
being born in 1963, I was just a hyperactive kid that needed to be hit. Um, so
Okay.
the world was different. And
Yes.
and so, my brain is always just flying. Thoughts are always flying, flying, flying.
Mhm.
And using this, focusing on my energy, covering myself with the energy, finding my quantum room, that was where I was able to focus my thoughts enough that I was able to find my purpose and was able to meet my spirit guides and develop those things. And without that focus, I would be a lot farther behind than I am now. And that's one of the things I want people to be able to do is get that focus. When I
Yeah.
tried to meditate in the past, it was 20 years of relaxing, trying to clear my thoughts, and then falling asleep.
Okay.
What I found is that with meditation, I don't need to clear my thoughts. I'm just focusing thoughts, quieting the thoughts, getting a more streamlined set of thoughts. And so when I tried to just clear my thoughts, all that made me think of is why can't I clear my thoughts? And it would just start this crazy deal
Mm-hmm.
with me. And so it's okay when you're meditating if you're thinking. It's more than okay. And in
Okay.
fact, I would say that it's best. And what you want to do is just focus your thinking. So for me, that's to find my energy, cover myself in it,
Mm-hmm.
go into my quantum room, and as soon as I'm there, I'm able to interact with whoever I need to, whether it's my spirit guides, and I have different levels of guides. I have a warrior team that helps me with healings. I have a love team. I've started bringing in 7 generations for the people that I'm working with and animals.
Yeah, I like that
Uh,
part. Well, yeah,
and it's yeah.
yeah, that's really cool. Well, let me rewind a little bit. So as I was
Okay.
reading this morning, I put my hands together. Now, and I want to talk about how I do energy because I love how you do energy, but I want to kind of understand it. So I put my hands together and I could feel my energy, and you say, hold it there, and then I could send it. So I sent it to my pet. I sent love to my pet.
Okay. Love
And
it.
yeah, or if you're having a bad day or if somebody's having a bad day, you can take that energy that you've created right here in the
Yes.
palm of your hand and send that love energy out to somebody who's having a bad day. I thought that was really, really cool. I
Absolutely.
Yes, I really like that. Now, I also thought it was cool because I've heard this before that you just said about healing our generations
Yes.
behind us and ahead of us. Talk about this because this is really fascinating.
Yes. So again, it's part of the slipstream. If you look at a slipstream in quantum physics, you'll find that it's going in time. It's going through time.
Okay.
And so what happens is when we heal something that's hurting us, it was probably something that hurt an ancestor and just carried through. And
Hmm.
so we heal it with us. That healing travels back in time to take care of them. It also travels forward in time to make sure that our future generations don't have that same problem. And then once as we're doing that, when we do the healing, we bring the 7 generations in to rejoice with you, and they surround you. And it's funny, every single time I do a healing, when I bring in the 7 generations, it looks different.
Oh,
Sometimes they're all holding each other and rocking. Sometimes the whole group is doing something like this. Sometimes it's spinning like a universe. Sometimes there's lights coming out of them. Or I can see symbols. They will sometimes I'll end
like releasing the
up,
energy.
yes,
Okay.
and releasing energy and bringing it to each other.
Okay. All right.
Like it's I saw a picture of birds early in the morning singing, and you could see the shape of their song in the frost, right? And it's
Yeah.
kind of like that. So as the 7 generations from the past and the future are with you and you're healing, um, energy's releasing, symbols are forming. There's all kinds of just, and it's always different. Sometimes they're singing, sometimes they're dancing. It's really weird. It's always different, and that's so much fun. But um, even for people that have no children, there's still 7 generations in front of you, and these are your friends. These are close family members, that may not be blood relatives. These are people from your soul group. So
Mm.
don't think that this isn't happening for you just because maybe you don't have children. um, it's part of a bigger picture than the physical DNA that we see.
Yeah, and I've heard this and I felt this intuitively, and I wanted to talk to you about it because I feel like the more I work on myself, the more I heal myself, then I am healing the generations before me and ahead of me.
Yes.
I just think that's, so it's interesting. So for everybody out there who's working on themselves, it's not just for you. It's
Yes.
also for your inner child.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, your inner child, your and I don't even know what level it goes down to, your molecular level, your spirit level, which I
Yeah.
think is an even deeper level than your molecular level. So yeah, it's helping us in so many ways, and just broadcasting. And that's another reason that I went with the some of the quantum field, quantum mechanic terms, is because it seems to be acting the way that they find in quantum mechanics,
Okay.
the way that energy reacts.
Tell us some of your stories. Now, you've dealt with people who have had hauntings and
Mhm.
you've gone in and cleared. You've dealt with people who had physical, problems. Do you want to tell us a couple stories? Do you want to share a
Yeah.
couple?
Yeah, and so and I don't know if it's just my energy or what, but what really is effective with the work I do is people having heart trouble.
Oh,
And I've been very successful helping people with heart trouble. And I helped a lady. I had been talking to her, and she was just sad, and we were talking, and I said, is it okay if I do a healing for you? And she said, sure, why not?
yeah,
What else?
yeah.
And so I did it, and um, the warrior team came to help, and what that consisted of or consists of is mostly dogs that have been in my past. Desi is a beagle that I had. She passed away a few years ago, and she had the best nose I've ever been around. She comes in spirit form and helps.
Oh, wow.
All my dogs that I've had have come in and help. Horses that my dad has had, cats that we had, a rat that I had in college, now
What?
a giraffe just recently started helping. Yeah, so there's all these things. I have an uncle that comes and helps. So
Wow.
there's a lot of things on that warrior team. And the reason I started with a warrior team was because in the paranormal community, we put together a team that was going to go help people that nobody else could help.
Okay.
And the shaman training kind of went along with, you have to have warriors with you and these kind of things, spirit warriors. And so maybe that was in my mind when I did it. And so we started with a warrior team that would find the problem with the people or find the issue with the house.
Right.
So Desi sniffs around with this lady. I invited her spiritually into the quantum room, and Desi sniffing around her, starts digging on her back, pulls what looks like a rag out of her back that looked like it was up against her heart. And we put the rag on the ground, gave it cleansing energy, doing what's called debriding, where you just clean off all the crud so that the essence is ready to clean.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when you get a burn and they pull the skin off before they work on it. That's debriding. And so it's
Okay.
kind of an ugly process, but it's needed. So we debride these things. And because we know that everything started off with a positive intent, or most things start with a positive intent, we didn't want to just destroy this item that we took out of her, but we wanted to release it to its natural state. So we cleaned it up, gave it love energy, and it went from being this dirty, nasty, gnarly rag to this beautiful little boy, golden curly hair, blue eyes, staring up at her with just love eyes. And then he
Oh,
ran away. So that
oh,
energy manifested as that. And then he was able to go off and be himself. Okay. And
okay.
so somewhere along the line, these are, I call them companions. Somewhere along the line, she picked up some energy that was there to help her.
Okay.
Um, Throughout the years, it became a hindrance. So imagine you're a little boy and you're in trouble and your dad's screaming at you, or a little girl, and your dad's screaming at you, and you just kind of tuck in and let the screaming go by and don't say a word, and then he calms down and everything's fine. Well, that's great in that instance, but you use that same process when you're in grade school. That's not helping you. You use it in junior high. Now you can't speak in front of people. You continue using that energy in high school and college and in business, and it holds you back. It hurts you. And
Mm,
that's what happens with these companions. They start off as something positive, but as you evolve, they're holding you back.
gotcha.
Or picture tying a rope around your arm as a 4-year-old. What's that going to do to you as an 18-year-old or a 50-year-old? It's going to kill your arm.
Mm,
So something that helped you at one time is now a problem. So Desi pulls that out of her, and I don't know what her background is. I don't know her health or anything like that. And
right.
I don't want to, because that biases what I do.
Mm-hmm.
I want the energy to find the energy and to do the things. So
Mm-hmm.
we took that off her and filled that part of her heart area with healing love energy, because nature abhors a vacuum. If you don't put something there, something else is going to show up. So
Okay.
we put love there.
Yeah.
I find out that she had heart trouble, and that it was getting worse, and they were getting ready to increase her medicine, and they were getting concerned about her future. And she went to see the doctor a month later, and he says, "You look really good. We're not changing your medicine at this point. We're going to keep where we're at." Went to see the heart doctor about 3 months after that visit, and he said, "Things are going really good. We're cutting your medicine down." And
Yeah.
within a year, she was off the medicine and eventually started doing Muay Thai and dancing and all kinds of stuff. Her heart's in great shape.
Wonderful.
That was a wonderful one. Probably the most exciting one for me is I get to work with some people that are in organ donation.
Oh, wow.
And I get a call one night from a nurse saying, "Hey, we've got a young man that's in trouble. We're gonna lose him. He just received some organs and he's in a bad place. Can you help him?" Yeah, absolutely. So I jump right on that. I start working with him. And I bring him to the quantum room, um, I start just filling him with love. I didn't look for any problem. I was just giving him love and healing and energy. And I could see him getting stronger and standing better, and his color came in. And while we were doing that, I saw another little boy walk into the quantum room, and he was really gray, and you could almost see through him. And so once I got the first little boy that had received the organs, where he was healthy and strong, I changed my focus to this other boy that came in and started giving him energy. And I
Mm-hmm.
could just see him getting thicker and denser and healthier, and his color changing from gray to healthy. And once he was completely filled with healing love energy, it shot out of him in about, I want to say, 6 directions. And what was going on was he was the donor.
Right.
And that energy was now going from him to his family to heal them.
Oh, oh,
And I get goosebumps. I'm covered in goosebumps right now. So the energy went to him, went from him once he was healing to his family to start their process of healing.
right.
And I asked him, I said, "What is your name? Can you tell me your name?" And I use a different. I'm not going to say what he told me. This is different, but he said C, and I'm getting the letter C.
Okay.
And And I'm thinking, okay, and I'm going, Charlie, Cedric. I'm going through every C name I can think of. And he just kept saying C, C. And so I'm thinking, okay, you pushed it too far. You know, you're trying to be cute. Don't mess with this. Just let him go and heal, and everything's fine. The next day I'm
Mhm.
talking to the nurse, and she said the boy who received the organs was up, walking. He was doing great.
Yeah.
Everything was working right. So I'm not saying I can replace a heart transplant or a liver transplant or anything like that. What I'm saying is what I do is that um, that straw, instead of breaking the camel's back, it's that straw that channels the energy right so that things can start to heal. And
Mhm.
so don't stop going to your doctor or anything like that.
Yeah.
This in addition to what you're doing.
Right.
They're taking care of the physical things. This is taking care of the energy work to get
Mhm.
everything right. And they work together.
Yeah.
So so the boy who received the organs was doing great. And then I said, I've got a question for you, and I don't know if you can answer this, but while we were doing this, I asked his name, and he kept telling me C, C. So is his name Charlie or Cedric, or I'm naming off these C names? And she started laughing and says, "No, his name's Cece."
See,
I
who's telling
I
you?
was not, yeah, I was not interpreting what he was telling me correctly.
Right.
He was telling me his name, and I thought he was giving me a letter. And so that was one of the most rewarding ones, and I get goosebumps thinking about it. And that something that I want to share is that the things I do in the quantum room, if I don't make notes immediately, I don't remember them.
Okay.
And even when I make the notes, until I reread those notes, I've completely forgotten about it.
Hmm.
And I can talk to you about two or three of the things, or probably more than that, of the adventures I've had helping people, because I've written it down. I've had the notes when I talk to people like you with
Hmm.
their podcasts and radio shows. So those stick in my mind. But our physical brains aren't capable of holding this for some reason. So as you're doing this work, if you forget things, it's okay. And another thing is, as you're helping people and they don't remember that you do,
That's
that's okay.
okay. Yeah,
The
I love
same thing
that.
is happening.
Yeah.
There's a story in there about a dog that's liver was going bad, a puppy, and the owner was getting ready to. He put on Facebook, I'm gonna. It's over. I've got to be brave. It's time to let this dog go. And I said, give me an hour. Just give me an hour.
Yeah.
And the dog turned around and everything was fine. Not once has that ever been mentioned. And I bring up the dog. How's your dog? Never mentioned. Never ever. So as you're doing this,
Yeah.
don't expect a lot of thanks. Don't expect a lot of praise, because when you do it right, they don't remember it. Things are aligned right now to where they don't even remember sometimes that they had the problem in the past.
Oh,
And so
wow.
don't do this for the gratitude
For the
for
self-satisfaction of saying, look what
exactly.
I did. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
And it sounds funny, but you kind of have to be like a superhero,
yeah.
where you don't know it's them. You're saving the world every day and
Yeah.
nobody knows.
Yeah.
Uh,
There
so
you
it's the
go.
same thing. Don't expect the applause.
Yeah. Well, I do want people to know I send love and light out to the earth every day. I send it out to myself. I send it to God. And that energy, when you do that with your intention, it really does help heal the planet and help heal people. And I just want people to realize that. I want to go back to what you were talking about when, I've seen movies and stuff where people get heart transplants and they still have that energy. And it
Yes.
totally makes sense that when you receive an organ from another person, you are receiving their energetic blueprint, I guess is what I want to say, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. And that part of the person will continue to live as a physical energy thing inside of you.
Yeah.
And yeah, so the interaction is very noticeable, and I would love to be able to. It's that field is very anonymous. It's hard to talk to the people that have had those things, and so one of the things I would love to do in the future is to get with people that have had heart transplants and just
Yeah.
spend some time talking to them. But they would have to come to me. There's not a clearinghouse that lets you know who had it.
Right.
And even the people that I work close with that I know very well because of it, I would never ask them to betray that confidence, but they wouldn't share with me the people
Right. But
who
you
have
could
had it.
really help them, which is really interesting. Okay, I
Yeah.
want to understand just everybody does things a little differently. I
Mhm.
bring in the light from above. I take it through my crown chakra. I bring in different colors depending upon how I'm feeling that day. Usually it's gold or white, but I bring it in through my head, down through my body, and heal myself that way. You are taking the energy and forming like a ball and doing it that way. It's just a different way. Is that right? Or are
Yeah,
you
I would
still
think.
receiving it this way? Or I mean, when you meditate, do you bring it in or and fill
I
up your vessel, or what do you do?
Yeah, I don't so much do that.
Okay, what do you do?
And as I'm thinking about it, I'm trying to think how I do feel it. Because I do a couple things. I When I'm doing a healing for people, I will take my hands and create an energy filter. And
Okay.
so I will go from the top of their head, like you're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
all the way down through their body and just cleanse and clean and filter out every bit of problem they have. And all the stuff that comes out, we send that healing energy to clean it up and then to give it the love energy so it can be whatever it wants to be. And
Okay.
so that stuff that we clear out might be sludge below their feet and then turn into a flower garden or turn into a fish and swim
So
away.
I'm going to stop you. So when I do it, I send it to the light. You let it develop into what it wants to be.
Yes, help it
Interesting.
return to its
Okay.
original state, which is probably what the light's doing. When you're sending
Okay.
it to the light, it's probably
Okay.
doing the exact same thing.
Okay, interesting, interesting. I love talking to you. This is really cool. And thank you for the work you do. I just want to say, it's so wonderful that you help so many people. Now, how do you keep yourself clear?
That is a tough one. And for a long time, I didn't realize how much of a toll this was taking on me.
Hmm.
Truly until the first of the year when I had so many and I was trying to do 10 healings a day. I thought I could do an infinite number of healings a day
No.
without problems. And it broke me.
Yeah.
There was weeks that I had no energy to do a healing because I tried to do so many. And so what I work on every day is I do protection for my family. I set up my energy, I cover myself with it, then I send it to my loved ones and I circle their house and that, and then I expand it to the state and sometimes I do the whole world.
Yeah.
But for me, I do that same thing where I take the filter and run it through me. I sit with my guides. There's times where my guides just surround me and give me energy when I'm in the
Right.
quantum room. And
Okay.
that's when I'm really tired is when I go to the guides and ask for help and to keep me right. It's surprising how how fulfilling it is, but how exhausting it is at the same time. It's a weird yin yang
Yeah. Well,
deal.
yeah, because I had Christy Whitman on the show and she was channeling um, the Council of Light was it last week or the week before, and I asked her if it was draining and she said no, it was invigorating. But then I think of when Edgar Casey used to do it, it was draining to him, and I think it killed him because he was
Yeah.
trying to do so many healings. So I think it's a balance.
Yes, and you have to find that. And like she said, it's invigorating. It does give
Yeah.
you energy, but
Yeah.
it gets you and you don't realize it's getting you. So you have to
Right.
be very mindful of that. And I agree that it may have killed Casey.
Yeah.
Um,
I
and
wonder.
that's somebody I would love to emulate a little bit. And I've been
Yeah, there
thinking
you
about
go.
trying some of his stuff. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, and I don't really like talking about this because I don't like to bring in any negative energy into the world, but you do talk about the shadow people. And I just wonder, what are they? Are they just energy, that dark energy that just couldn't make it to the light and they're lost souls? Or what is this? I've heard a lot
Okay.
about it. I've listened to Coast where they have people on to talk about
Yeah.
it. I mean, can you just kind of tell the audience
Yeah.
what is this?
This is going to be a big long answer. Okay. This
Okay.
and there's going to be multiple things we talk about. So
Okay.
the things that I work on, companions, like I talked about, that rag that we took out of that lady and healed it, and then it went off as that little boy. That's 95%, 96% of what I encounter. Things that started off positive that started a problem later.
Right.
Then you have what I call a parasite. And this is just the thing, and I don't know if it's an alien, or people might call it an alien or a demon or something that just is sucking your energy.
It
And
attaches itself.
it attaches itself and it's just taking from you. And I don't run into a lot of those, but I do run into a few.
Yeah.
Then there's this other thing that's otherworldly. And I've got a kind of weird story with that I almost didn't put in the book because it was kind of violent. That is just an otherworldly thing. And that's truly what could be a demon or something. I don't know what it is.
Negative energy, dark
very,
energy.
very negative, very bad, very dirty, very ugly. And but shadow people aren't part of that. And what you're seeing on TV when they do shadow people, what you're seeing or hearing about on Coast to Coast, and I might be kicking myself off of Coast to Coast, but they're trying to sell a TV show. They're trying to get you to stay through a commercial, so they're scaring you.
I know. I don't like that.
Yeah, and I've talked to over 300 people about experiences with shadow people. 3 people have had bad experience. Everybody else, they're just watching. And so for people that aren't sure what we're talking about, a shadow person, and I call it a watching man. There's another person that calls it the hat man. People call it shadow people, but I call it the watching man because all I've ever witnessed or really talked to people about is that this thing is standing there looking at you. And what it is, it's about 6 feet tall. Picture a 6 foot plus person, very heavily built. Looks like it's wearing a hat or a helmet. You know that it has a face, but you can't quite see it. It's got a dark cape, duster, some kind of a trench coat, some kind of a long jacket, and the whole thing is dark. It can be anything from black to gray to dark blue. It's a dark color, and it'll typically be standing in a stairway or at the a doorway or the foot of your bed, and it's just looking at you. And most of the time, once you look at it, it just disappears. It's gone, but it's there watching you. And so,
why?
I have. Well, I'm not sure, but I've got a couple ideas. We'll get to that.
Oh, I know.
There's the 3 people that I've talked to that have had a bad experience saw these things. One was just terrified, and I mean this guy, all 3 of them, they're alpha males. They're the guys going in when everybody's running out. They're all retired police officers. These are man's men. They're not afraid of anything, and these things terrified them. 2 of them saw them with glowing yellow eyes. The other one, just when he saw this thing, he told me, Todd, I'm an alpha. I ain't no alpha. That thing's the alpha. Don't mess with it. And so there was something that struck him about it. But everybody else just watched them. One person I talked to woke up. There was one at the foot of his bed. And as he's looking at it, it started walking towards him and through him. So it's coming up through his feet, just walking through the bed at him. Comes up through his feet, through his body. And now it's behind him. And as soon as it got behind him where the wall is, this guy's perspective changed from looking up at this thing to actually looking down at his body through its eyes.
Ooh.
And it said, I am you. And so his feeling at the time was that this was like
this is his dark side.
Not necessarily dark side. He felt like it was his past life, his end of life review. They talk, you talk about in a near-death experience, you die and review everything in your life. He felt like this was him in that review, looking down at himself in that particular time as part of his review. So there's thoughts that these things are dimensional travelers trying to figure out who and what we are, that they're time travelers coming back to witness what we have done, that there are aspects of ourselves reviewing what we've done. So there's a lot of things. I personally don't find them a problem, and I've seen them a lot. The earliest time that I've seen them, normally I just see one at a time, but during a house cleansing, there was 3 of them watching me in the basement.
Ooh.
as a little boy, I'm in the basement of my parents' house. I'm probably 4 years old, and they had a room down there, pretty big, like family room, that had a big, um, big stone fireplace. And I had a little horse, and it's those plastic horses that have
Jump.
two springs in front, two springs in back, and you
Yeah.
could.
Yeah.
I had one of those, and because I loved westerns, I knew that you rode horses fast, so I'd get on that thing and just go like crazy, right?
Yeah.
And I'm doing that, and I'm looking up, and there's 12 of them in that room watching me. And I just thought, well, that's interesting. Why are they watching me? And I just kept riding it. They have never scared me. There's times where I'm almost excited to see them. And the biggest problem is we just don't know what they are. So the unknown scares us.
Right.
I personally don't buy into the whole thing that that they're scary, mean, awful things coming to get us. Like I said, I've talked to over 300 people, and and two of them had bad experiences, and one was scared, scared badly. But you don't run into that. And when they're talking about the ones with the glowing eyes are bad, I don't know. I've only talked to two
Yeah.
people that saw the glowing eyes, and they're kind of the same guy, um, very much the same guy. So and
Interesting.
I respect them both. I believe them both, by the way. Uh, they're
You think
I've
they're
known them for a long
observers.
time.
You think they're observers.
I think they're observers. I think they're just here to watch us. So that was a
Yeah.
really long story to get to that answer, but I
No,
think
that's cool
it's
though.
observers.
I've always been told, and we only have an hour show here, so we got to get out of here pretty quick. But I've always thought that, if anything like that happened, because I'm really bright and I attract, and I just have learned to send love, and
Mhm.
that will diminish anything. What do you feel about that?
100%. I agree with you 100%. So if that if you're seeing these things and it's bothering and they're bothering you, by all
Mhm.
means give yourself protection. Send them love, send yourself love, send that energy out, and I think you'll find that it leaves. One of the things that I do with my energy is as I'm working on it, I'll see something that I'm not comfortable with on a in a haunted location or whatever. Uh,
Mhm.
or even at work, if there's negative things going on at work, I'll get my energy and I just expand it. I just push it out in a big bubble where I'm at, and
Yeah.
that knocks everything out of the way. And so something like that, if it's bothering you, do that
Just
and get
push
rid
it.
of it.
I like that.
There's Yeah, or set yourself up. If you're having trouble sleeping, put energy around you when it's time to go to sleep. I read a science fiction book as probably when I was in junior high, and this guy had these little cubes that he'd lay out around him, and it would create an energy field around him so he was protected while he slept on these weird planets.
Yeah. I always
And I
just
think
put
you do
love and
this.
light around
Yeah,
me and,
you
protect
yeah,
myself that
and
way.
that's
Just,
all it is. That's
yeah.
yeah, just put the
The
love and light.
intention, the
Uh-huh.
intention of doing it.
Absolutely. And that'll
Wow.
keep those things away from you, and everything's good.
Oh my God, Todd. Well, you guys, his book is called Slipstream Shaman. It's by Todd Wilcox. What would you like to leave us with today? I'm going to have you back.
I would love to be back. I'd like to show the book. It's
Thank
got a
you.
cool cover.
I'm going to
Uh,
buy it. I
so
didn't get one, so I have to buy it, you guys. I think it's awesome.
you've got my representation of the Vasquez rocks. The artist was amazing that did this.
Yeah.
And the funny thing
Beautiful.
was, I still had blue energy when she made this, but that's what my
Um,
energy has changed to. She somehow knew. So you can
oh,
see hands, and that's what my energy looks like now.
oh,
And
wow.
so yeah, she was amazing. She tapped into what we were doing, and it was really neat. I'm working on a companion book that really focuses on trauma release and helping people that are constantly in traumatic places, first responders, military, doctors, nurses. And this may sound weird, but also public service people,
Mm.
your people at restaurants, people at retail.
They're
They take
picking it up.
a
They're
lot of
picking up that energy.
just constant abuse. You talk to somebody that works in a retail store, they have interactions with 5,000 people a week. All they
Mm-hmm.
can remember is that one really mean one. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's a way to release that energy, release that thought. And so that's going to be the second book. And then I'm doing a course that will go with Slipstream Shaman, but take it even farther and do the demonstrations. It'll be on video, demonstrations of what I do, and take you through some of my actual work and
Neat.
show you what it looks like and
Yeah.
take the mystery out of it.
Well, I just want to tell the audience, I didn't have a chance to read all of it, but it was an easy read, and I learned a lot from what I did read. And I know a lot about energy, but you enlightened me in very many ways, and you teach people how to, bring the energy together and how to send it out. And I did that this morning, like I told you, and it was just really cool. So I want to commend you on your work and thank you for
Thank
helping
you.
humanity,
I really appreciate that. And coming from you, a very powerful healer, that means a lot. And
Oh,
so
thank you.
I talk about getting goosebumps, and I just had a nice cold thing go up and down my spine. So um, I appreciate what you do. And if people go to slipstreamshaman.com,
There
they
you
can
go.
send me an email. I'm Slipstream Shaman on Instagram. And my email's on the website, and you can order the book through the website or at Amazon.
On Amazon.
And we're just getting started. I would love to get some more books out and get some more trainings out. So while I don't charge for the healing, I hope to do something where I can do this full time and help more people. And I think that'll be through training and books.
Yeah, you and I are on the same path. All right. Well, God bless. And thank you so much for coming on the show. His name is Todd Wilcox. The book again is Slipstream Shaman. You guys, this is Nancy Yearout. Just so you know, I'm working on the website. So if you go in there and it looks a little odd, it's under construction. But if you want an angel reading, you can get one. Just book your date and time. And again, Todd, thanks for joining us today. Everybody take care and God bless.